making tracks sound like the records you buy. That is today's video. Let's go do that right now. Hey, how you doing? It's Analog Kitchen and thank you for checking out yet another video. Now, if this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe, hit that bell, because you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. You'll be kept in the loop, you won't miss out on anything. And I'd like to welcome this week's patrons. Connor Farley, Wozas Guy Gallas, I hope I pronounced that well, Swan TD, and Benedict Mooser. Welcome to Patreon. Patreon is connected to Discord. Now, the thing with Discord is that we've got a community that's really growing. Like-minded folks talking about dawless production or just production in general. Tips and tricks, DIY stuff, basically anything you can think of that's got to do with synthesizers and the way we work them. The community is really growing. Apart from that, I'm also working on a mixer. It needs to be a performance mixer with stuff that can be helpful, you know. Talking about maybe sends that you can use for guitar pedals, maybe mutes, maybe filters, you know, something that you can really use as a tool in addition to your live set. It's early days, we're working it, it's really cool. More on that soon because we are actually making a lot of progress. I'll keep you in the loop. You can find it on patreon.com/Analog Kitchen. Hey, I can hear you think, now why is it so important to sound like records that I buy out there? Well, you know, it doesn't really, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but there is some sort of an industry standard. And if you are, if your ambition is to make some money with this maybe, or at least perform, I think it's cooler if you sound like what's out there already and work your way up from there. Now, the reason that we do sound different is actually quite simple. Where records and sample-based tracks are a little bit more like, you know, the DAWs have a certain character of the way production goes, so it's easier to get to that specific point. Us dawless folks have different sounds, and we just work from scratch basically. So if you are into the purest sounds, even when you're working with modular synthesizers as well, you will sound different. Your sounds will be spaced out a little bit more. When it comes to balancing your sound, it's very much up to how you interpret the sound in the room. And if you are standing on stage and your monitor system is not like set up correctly, which happens sometimes, it means that you can either have too much low or no low at all, and you don't have it as much with mixed out records that you can buy on Beatport or Traxsource. So we dawless producers, it takes a while and some experience to get to that sound, that your sound is actually mixed properly or sounds properly. Now, is there a way to get closer to those standardized records out there? It's not the be-all and end-all, but in the end of the day, if you want to just like do shows and have people book you more often, I do believe that getting close to the industry standard is going to help you a lot. Also, in terms of where you want your sound to go. Now, I am an ample believer of not mixing your sounds, but a good comment that I saw on one of my videos was that somebody said, oh, I do understand now that if you have all control of the sound sources you're using, that would mean that you wouldn't necessarily have to mix stuff per se. Having said that though, it takes another way of looking at certain things to get closer to the sound that you want to make. That's actually what we are steering at, you know. How can you analyze things by association? You know, can I listen to something and can I just, you know, metabolize it in my mind and get it out of my live set? That's the way I'd like to work. So if I hear a sound, I would like to mimic that sound without, like, you know, overthinking it. I'll take you to my live set and let's see if we can actually get closer to that sort of like standardized sound, you know, not mimic it per se, but just like I said, you know, I do think it's important. You know, it's less explanation and it's more working it, and people will actually just love you better for it, you know. Now, disclaimer here. If you just want to be like all avant-gardistic and you don't care and you just do your stuff, hey, that's cool, man, that's no problem. Just go into it. I mean, whatever I say is not the be-all and end-all, it's not etched in concrete, but I do believe that for me, it actually does work to get a little bit closer to those records that I was spinning as a DJ. And that's a bit of the challenge there, you know. Can I just sound a little bit more like a DJ? Kink was telling me the same thing. Yeah, Lucien, I like your sound because you sound more like how a DJ would approach it. And I do think that, you know, it's cool to just be live out there, but it's cool to also like get people to just like enjoy what you're doing a little bit easier, even though you're playing live. That's the cool part. Let's go do it. You ready? You ready to join me? Welcome, cats. Welcome to this part of the video. Woo-hoo. All right, so I've got the Minilog XD, as you can see. Over on this side, I've got the Acid Box 3 by Erica Synths. I've got the Launch Control XL, and that's MIDI mapped to the Akai MPC Live. The MPC Live is connected to the Octatrack. The Mini Tower, the Model D, and the Tetra are all getting MIDI from the Akai. The Akai is my drum computer. Yeah, so I'm using drums that I can stick in there, so it's like a fancy drum computer. And whenever I switch to a different track or a different pattern, I just add certain sounds to the drum kit that I'm using, but not swapping the drum kit out completely, because I do fancy a similar sound and a similar frequency to hit you in the gut and hit that club in a certain way. Now, the TB03 is over here. Then I've got the Micro Monster over here. I've got the multi-clock that's sending out MIDI to the Akai. Certain boxes got their own sequencers, like for instance the Micro Monster and the TB03. This thing can also send out DIN sync, it can send out trigger signals, so it's amazing if you have like analog gear 808s, 606 or SH101s or whatever. I've got the Space Echo here, the RE20 reissue, that's wired up to my Minilog XD over here, and everything gets summed in the L12 live track. All right, now, did I leave out anything? Probably. Let's get going. I love to start with my TB03 because it is a synthesizer or a bass synthesizer that will definitely spin out within a frequency range because of the glides that it has. So it's playing. So the attacks are in different places. Transients will fly all over the place. It's just an otherworldly sound, and obviously you know it. So that is that. Now, when you are focusing on trying to get your sound to sound like other records, it has to do with something that has to be like otherworldly, something that needs to be out of this comfort zone thing. Because if you're using synthesizers, drum computers, what have you, they have a certain sound, but when you're listening to records, there are like loops and everything. There's a bit of a bridge in between how you can glue certain sounds or certain tracks together. Now, let's add, and I'm going to turn this off. On my multi-clock now on channel 3, I will now hit the Akai, and let's see what's going on. I've got my drums mapped out here, the levels. Right, so obviously with all the faders down, you don't hear anything. So if I'm not mistaken, there is a kick play on track 1. Nice, thick and round. Now, a bit of sound design as well as what I keep telling people, get your sounds to be thick, rich and transient so that it will work. Tracks in a club, they are working in a specific area of the frequency spectrum. Obviously that works when you buy records, it's all set in a certain way, otherwise you just can't really get it on to the codecs in terms of whether iTunes will play it or Beatport or Traxsource. But when you get to an analog sound source, obviously you have got more control over your sound, so make use of that. So make sure that you can get your sounds to just do a little bit more. Now this is pretty simple, it's working. To emphasize my bass line a little bit more, let's add a little bit more transients on it, yeah? Now there's two waveforms on the TB03, as you know. One being a sawtooth and the other one being a square wave. I've got it on the sawtooth now because, as you can hear, it's got that acidy kind of bite, but when you turn down the filter, it already starts to become a little bit more percussive. You need a little bit more bass. This is a little bit rounder, but for now we need a little bit more aggression. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to leave it at there. Let's add a few more drums, shall we? Now I opt to put a clap there that's very short, but at the same time very sharp. It's a clap and a snare as well, or it sounds like a piece of wood, you know? Pop, 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 pop. That's sharp as well. So now, as you can hear, I'm spanning out the whole frequency spectrum. My kick is there, nice and thick. Let's turn down those top hats a little bit. I think they were a bit too sharp. Ah, there you go. Nice. Now on my sample and hold Catalyst pack, this is where I flirt with the outside world and get sounds in there that I produce that already have that sort of like sound that you can probably know from records that you're buying. So I've got a sample on track 1 of my octa track, which is already playing, which plays this. Let's turn some stuff off. I will turn the TB3 off as well. Now what I've done is I've made it a little bit gritty, a little bit like 8-bit type, so that it does something a little bit more inaudible than the sounds that you're using. And those things will work together, because if you've got clear sounding sounds on the synths you're using, you need to have a contrast. And this contrast makes that sound that vinyl records had back in the days, or what certain productions have, where you use bit crush or a little bit of that kind of stuff on the sound to make it sit a little bit better in the groove. Listen to the kick. And also, when I'm using those kind of samples, they need to be playing on the offbeat. Boop, ba, ka, ah. Ooh, da, da, bap. Ooh, da, da, bap. Because this is the catalyst in your groove. Instantly the groove is moving, yeah? So now, since we got that established, can we add a little bit more to this groove? Let's add some drums on the TB3. I will turn the TB3 up. Now this, for me, I need to already be able to groove and dance to that. And since I like to just like hypnotize you, space something out, here we go again. I'm loving this synth, man, it's amazing. Nice. Right cymbal. So I'm building my whole sound around this one sample. It's very hip hop, because with hip hop, you know, the grooves are based around rare beats, break beats, rare grooves, and I love to have that in my sound as well, you know, to give it. It's almost like a loop, and that will just like keep you moving, keep you bouncing and grooving in that direction. Right. Turn off to the right. So do you see how I transition? When I play something here with long notes, I'll just turn off certain drums, and then it sounds like records you know, but at the same time you got more control. Turn on the filter on the TB03, because I think it's time to introduce the almighty Model D. See where you are? Okay, I've got my Model D coming out of the octa track on track 7. We're going to do a little bit of sound design there as well, because I want this sound to just play around with the sample and hold sample that I've got like running over here. Because now, this is what I mean. This sound sounds so different from what I've got moving over here, and in order for it to just like play together, we need to just like focus a little bit on what's going on. So let's turn on the drums then. And a friend of the family, the TB03, that can always play. You know, we don't mind that at all. Okay, let's turn down the filter so we know what we're working with. Resonance down a little bit. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I just love to blend my sounds together. That's exactly how you get those sounds to sound a little bit more sophisticated, you know what I mean? It takes a while to practice it, because you'll get into it, you'll get the hang of it, it will work. But be patient and keep at it. It won't work at first, but you know, it will work later on. Okay, now, moving on. I've got my friend the Behringer over here, which is obviously a reissue of a Minimoog-like type synthesizer, is what they claim. Now I'll play the... Let's turn off a few of the oscillators and see what we have. Nothing, of course. I'll start with the first one, yeah? Let's start with the first of the three square waves that we have here. Because square waves, they have a nice character when they hit the filter, like this. Yep. All right. The attack's all the way down. I'm playing it a little bit higher than I'm going to initially play, but then you can hear what I'm going to play. It's going to be like... I'm such a sucker. Let's add a bass drum, otherwise I'm not really getting into the groove right here. Like so. Okay, undo. Let me find where I am in the groove. There you go. I want to keep it simple. Now what I told you, I promised you I was going to turn down the pitch. It's on 8. It's low, 32, 16, 8, 4 and 2 in terms of the octaves. Now we're going to turn it down. We're going to look for a nice length and a little bit more volume. Nice. Highest. Okay. So you understand, I'm putting a hi-hat in there so I can figure out how long the notes need to be apart from the melody that it plays, or I want the notes to be a certain length so that it will add to the groove. So this for now is nice enough. It means that this thing is on 8 o'clock, yeah? My decay. Sustain is on 4 and the attack is all the way down, so the notes will play instantly. Not that v that you get if you open the attack a little bit more. On to the second oscillator. Yeah. I will open the filter a little bit more, otherwise I won't hear it that clearly. Nice. This oscillator is on the second of the 3 square waves, and I'm going to put the pitch on 8 and the last one. Nice. Instantly. First of the square waves, and this is on 32, so nice, thick and round. Filter down. Now, this is the blending that I was talking about. When it's open, it doesn't really have any relation to the sample and hold, sample that's playing. But when you turn down the filter, like so, you hear that the low notes that are a bit crushed, those are going to start to boogie with this. Now let's add that TB03 to it and see if we can squeeze this brother in there. Okay, nice, but the sounds are coming literally from everywhere, which means we need to stick certain things out there again. I like those two. I like the Octatrack and I like the Model D. I'm not so sure about the TB03. The line is perfect, but it's just putting too much energy in the bottom end of the frequency spectrum. So I will turn the octave up, which means that Now what is happening right now is that the question and answer is going to be introduced. So on the first of the beat you hear do 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 do. You see? Very important, because this makes an infinite loop. And infinite loops are very important also if you want to make a sound that sounds like those records out there. And we're grooving, as you can feel, and we didn't even add any drums yet. Mind you, I'm not adding too many things. This thing is taking care of all of my initial groove that I need in the middle as my catalyst. This is what's happening when you turn it off. This is what I mean. This is what I hear a lot of live sets do. It's nice. But I can clearly hear this. I can clearly hear this. And what I want is those things to be masked away a little bit. So here we go. Instantly. And it invites you to add a little bit more drums maybe. Kick out. Let's start with some hi-hats. 2, 3, and. And of course, there we go. And I love when different synthesizers are starting to play melodies together. That's exactly what you want. If you're sitting behind the door, you're trying to just come up with that stuff, you just can't come up with that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? It takes a while. And this is instantly heaven, right cymbal. Did you see how if I enter the right cymbal here, instantly I'm doing something else here as well? I'm trying to just take your attention away from what it is that I'm actually doing. So, turn it up again. Let's see if we can add another sound. There's a note playing. Let's take that note out. I will go in, go to 4 beats. All right. Not thinking, just playing, straight. Nice. I think that this one can be up a little bit. So one of the 2 oscillators, I turn that up. Let's shorten the notes. And obviously I'm going to put a little bit of reverb on there. So that's my track 6, reverb. click, go down, get the dark reverb, enter, yes, go back. 6. Ooh, watch what happens now. Space. You gotta love it, man. Longer notes. Now let me space it out. Also, I'm not going to just like do crazy stuff with it. Let it stick in a certain way. Now on this sound, I'm going to open the attack a little bit because I need the notes to be a little bit longer, which is something I won't usually do with my mini guitar, but for today. Get a little bit crazy. Right cymbal, 1, 2, 3, and. Again, watch what happens. Let me turn the right down. Watch this. It works with that catalyst gone, but at the same time, I like that it's there. Turn down the reverb a little bit, catalyst, and the kick. Let's stop everything. Calm yourself. Okay, we'll go in. This is the second sound. Let me, before I go in there, go out and just turn that track on, otherwise I won't hear anything. I'll double click on the track and then I'll play it. No, okay. What we're gonna do is, I'll go in the bank and see what we have. I'm not looking for something that is too musical. More of a sort of like a drum kind of vibe. This, there you go. I'll go in, turn it up. Okay, nice. How does this work in the beat? Let's just turn all those synths off. So I won't be having anything. You can be off because you don't play anyway. All right, so here we go. Again, something in beat that's a bit different. How does this relate to what we already had on track number 1? Let's check it out. 3. Yeah, I'm liking it. Now, I think the TBO3 is going to be addition here. Okay, that screamy thing in the packet, let's turn it down. All right. Yeah, I'm liking that. I sincerely hope that you took something away from that. You know, don't be a stranger, leave a comment in the section below, as well as find the tunes over on Bandcamp. That's where I can chop up those jams that I'm doing. Hopefully you like it and you can support me there. As well as Patreon, I told you before, you can support the vibe over there. Get into Patreon. The higher tiers, which is not breaking the bank by the way, higher tiers also have access to Discord, where we are talking in this community. And after this premiere of the video, obviously I think there's going to be a lot of guys in the chat, so that's going to be cool as well, discussing all the stuff. Now, links to all the equipment noted in the full below, which means that if you see something you like, you know, those are affiliate links, I have to say. But yeah, you can just check out what it is that I'm using as well. Now, there's going to be some events coming up. My synthology concept is starting to grow, and we're hosting a stage actually with Colin and with Mitch Decline and with Holt. We are doing actually a couple of cool things on that stage, which is like the 16th of July or 17th of July. Links there. So if you're in the country or you're close and you want to come join me, you know, you're more than welcome to. But it's early days, so I will let you know if the COVID thing and everything in my country works. Then we'll do. Moving on. So anyway, if not anything, did I forget anything? Yes, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button and share, of course. And I'll catch you next week on another video.